Hi, guys. I'm not sure who's here yet, but I'm here and starting up. I think somebody may be here with me. Hello, hello, hello. Just getting set up. We're trying a new location today, so people don't keep asking, what are the masks for? Why do you have masks? Oh, that's spooky. So no masks today. I hope you all have been having a wonderful, lovely week and weekend. And we're going to have a fun chat. Please, I do see some people are in. Please jump in and say hi so I know who's here, and we can get started. I may end up taking this sweater off because, wow, it was very cold now, and now it's not, and it will probably be cold again in a few minutes. Oh, joy. There we go. All right, we'll turn this volume down. Hello, Gordon. Welcome, welcome. I have not seen you here yet. Yay! I hope you were doing well. Hope life is treating you beautifully. So I'm trying to get this centered. I think that's good. That should work. Put the pillow behind me. Hold on. So, as you guys may have figured out, I traveled to Disney last week. Since the festival is not going on, I had the ability. Hello, Mr. Drew. Thank you, thank you. I thought we tried the new look. We'll see how it all works out. But as you all know, I went to Disney last week. I went from Wednesday through Sunday. Was going to be getting there later than I actually ended up getting there, and then stayed through minutely. I think the flight left minutely late. It was pretty much on time though. But so part of why I did this, as I said in the intro video, which if you have not watched, go ahead and watch those. We will be trying to get one out every week. Just so that you guys get sort of a sense of keeping the content flowing to let you guys see the experience. Because if any of you are looking to make plans, I want to be able to give you informed information, let you see what the flight is like, let you see what getting around is like. We tried driving, we tried buses, we tried the Skyliner. The only thing I did not get on right now was the monorail. And that was just because where we were going originally, there were plans to do that, and it just didn't pan out. If you have not done so already, and I think most of you have, but if you have not, please remember to subscribe to this channel. You will see all of the links to all the videos as they come out, especially if you hit the little bell notification down there, and that will let you know exactly when I've released the new videos. I try to do them on Wednesdays, but just in case there's a delay for any reason, because I've got some other commitments coming up. Woohoo. Not fair stuff, sadly, but just so that you guys need to do that. Thank you very much for the likes, those who have done so. Hello, Miss Terry. Welcome, welcome. Share this video stream if you find it helpful, or if you find any of the videos I have helpful, please go ahead and share those. I am hoping to get to 1,000 subscribers. I don't know that I'll do it by the end of the year, but I'm trying to do it soon, because then the closer I get to that, the more likely I have the ability to do some streaming while I'm in the park through YouTube, rather than having to go through struggling with my personal page versus my Facebook business page, etc. on the chat. So the more that I can kind of connect that for you guys, the better off we all are. So as always with these live chats, if you have questions for me, please ask. If you want clarification, or you just have comments, go ahead. I want to make this sort of a nice kind of give and take, so that I know I'm addressing the stuff that you want to know about. So we'll start. One of the first things I think people ask about initially is mask compliance. As you may have, well, I don't know if you saw. All right, so there are different levels of mask compliance. There's traveling, getting there. There's in the parks, and in the restaurants, versus and in your rooms, etc. So traveling there, Southwest, which I loved, they are at this point, they are still not selling middle seats. I think they may be starting to do so in November, but as of this moment, they're not selling middle seats on their flights. So unless you're with a group of people that want to sit together, you always have someone, you have a distance of the person is behind or in front of you, or they're 2 seats over. So you've got that kind of closeness. Hello, Drew. I'm glad to see you not wearing a mask today. But what types of observations do you have about masks in the park experiences? Woohoo, there you go. They originally started by saying people need to wear masks. Then they said you can't wear gaiters. You have to wear the mask that cups your chin and cups the top of your face. Then they said, you have to wear it over your nose. Then they revised it again to say, you can only take it off if you're actively eating or drinking. Then they had to revise it to say, you can only take it off if you step to the side and you're actively eating or drinking, or you're in a relaxation station. And they do have a number of relaxation stations. Usually there's 3 in each park. At least one is air conditioned, sometimes 2. And that's a place where they have distanced markers that are a little farther away than the 6 feet. And you can take your masks off and just chill. And honest to God, you really do need some of that time. Up here, I don't feel it as much, up in where we are here in north of Florida, because it's not as hot. But I can tell you with that silicone mask, or even without, and yeah, this is not the prettiest conversation, but you are pouring sweat inside your face, inside the mask. And it's fine, but it's sort of like that same feeling when you feel that one bead of sweat trickling down your back and you go, oh, ooh, feel that on your face. It's weird. It's just weird. It's no hotter per se than if you're just walking around, but you definitely feel it. I had hopes when I looked at the weather before I left that the temperatures were going to be mid to upper 80s, and I was rejoicing at that. And then it ended up every day being 90 to 92, with heat indexes making it 100 to 108, depending on the day. So it was toasty. It was very humid. So you grabbed air conditioning where you could. You grabbed those relaxation stations where you could. We had a service puppy with us, and that made me hyper aware of where can we go that is going to allow air conditioning. And we'll talk more about that later. But mask compliance in the airport, mostly good. You still had kids and even adults with the mask down over the nose. You had people walking and drinking, or walking, drinking, and then stopping to talk with their mask still off. The worst case I saw was in BWI in Southwest. There was one staff member that was in the Starbucks I went into, and every time he talked to the person he was ordering from, he'd pull down his mask to talk, and then he'd put it back. And then he'd pull it down to talk, and then he'd put it back. He was the person in front of me. So I made sure to just take the drink that I needed and not put anything else on it and not touch anything else, because he went over to the counter where all the little, stirs and things are. And I'm like, no, I'm not touching a darn thing. I'm just walking, and made sure I was clearly away from him. But he worked there, and I think he worked for Southwest. I'm not sure. But he worked there. He was very well knew the people, and he was there a lot. And I did not feel safe around him. He was the worst I saw. In the parks, staff members are constantly, they announce like every 10, 15, 20 minutes that, you keep your social distancing, keep your mask up, covering your mouth and nose. Kids were behaving. Everyone was behaving. You really didn't see problems. Every once in a while at Epcot, I did see someone sneaking. I will also say that, like, you'll see people that would hide and take pictures with the masks off, like, oh, they want that iconic picture of themselves with a selfie in the castle, and they're all hiding behind one of the Tomorrowland arches to get it without their mask on because they want their faces. It's just not polite and appropriate to do right now, but that is the way of things. But that was the worst I saw. So overall, honestly, mask compliance was exceptionally good. And the other thing is, it's not just and it's as soon as you leave your hotel room and you are out in public, when you're on the buses, when you're walking around outside, etc., you must have the mask on no matter what, unless you are sitting down to eat at a table. And at every restaurant, once you sat down, you were stationary, you could take the mask off. And then if you had to get up to go to the bathroom, you had to put the mask back on. So that made, I think, all the difference. I felt bad for a lot of the servers, though. Although most of the servers had both the mask and the shield guard down, the plastic guard. And I was grateful for the fact that they could do that, because if they're standing around all these people without masks who are just talking and spewing whatever, they had that extra layer of protection. So I was thrilled about that. Do you have other questions about mask compliance or those experiences? I think I was the only, well, I'm sure people color coordinated their masks, but I don't think I was I think I was the only person who wore a costume and with a mask that matched it. like consciously went out of my way to match it, which I'll explain to you in a minute. Hello, Bridget. Sounds like Disney is doing, yeah, Disney is doing a great job. And in all fairness, Universal, when I was there, was doing a very good job too. They were not as on the ball about everyone in line or seeing stuff, like you would be standing in line and suddenly you'd hear, your mask must be on, covering your mouth and nose, even on some of the rides, if they caught you somewhere. Oh, my favorite thing. All right, so you guys know about the Memory Maker, which is a service you can pay for. If you're an annual pass holder, you get it, where they will take your picture. Anywhere a photographer is standing, you go up to them, hi, I'd like my picture taken, and they'll take pictures. And I will tell you, during this time, because the crowds aren't as big and their lines aren't as long, in those few, I had just like I had like almost 200 pictures taken, and did far less of stopping people because the group I was with, it didn't time out as well. So lots and lots and lots of that. But so if you take a picture with Memory Maker, and the photographers that you see will not take your picture if your mask is off. I'm sorry, I can't. They will, if you're on one of the rides like the Haunted Mansion or Buzz Lightyear or the Tower of Terror, and you've taken your mask off because you want your face in that picture, they will not give you the picture. Disney scans all those pictures, and if there's one with your actual face showing, you can't have it. You're breaking the rules, so you can't have the picture. I'm like, yes. There was, what was I just thinking of? Oh, the one thing I will say, I felt bad for the people over like outside of the Tree of Life when you're standing by those icons, because everyone's trying to do that, selfie that I was talking about without the mask. And in like 4 minutes, I was standing at the tree. I heard this one poor photographer saying, "It's a requirement, not a suggestion. You need to wear the mask. Put it back on. Put it on. It's a requirement, not a suggestion." And I like that phrase. It is a requirement, not a suggestion. I like that one a lot. Hello, Mario. Welcome and joining. We're talking about traveling to Disney during in September and dealing with the pandemic and what that's all about. So we've talked about mask compliance. So now we're going to talk about travel and how travel has changed. So obviously the first thing is the plane. And as I said, Southwest was wonderful in that they had the people separated out. When you're boarding Southwest, normally it's, 60 people in a group, 30 and 30, and you board in your different groups. Now they pull you up by groups of 10, 1 to 10, 11 to 20, 21 to 30. They will only pull you up in groups of 10 so that nobody's really crowded around. Within your group of 10, you don't have to get in number order. They just, because it's a smaller group, you just kind of go up in your group, because you're really not losing too much distance or space at that point. It was, and then you try to make sure you distance in the line going in. And of course, a lot of people would start to crowd as they're getting onto the plane. You try to do your own spacing, your own kind of holding back at that point, as long as you can. On the plane itself, they did hand out water in open, in cups, and they had packed trail mix, which I ended up picking up a container of one time and can't eat it. So I have a thing of trail mix from Southwest if somebody needs it. Bridget says, "Oh, good. I was wondering how that was being handled." Yeah, so it's only 10 at a time. It's very cool. And I can't say what other airlines are doing. I just know that that's what they were doing. I tried to kind of sleep as much as I could on the plane, just because I figured the less, eyes open, et cetera, the less places things could enter, the safer you are. I had my own wipes to wipe down my seat to make sure that, the touch points were safe and the handles and stuff were safe. But they knew if people had them, they collected them. I don't know that they offered them to people, but if you had them, they helped by collecting. What do we got here? My favorite ride is Small World. I love Small World. Now, Small World's going through an external refurbishment, but we did ride it on this trip. And I actually went with somebody who has a DAS, which is a disability. So we had to, through the wheelchair, we had to get in a different way. And I can talk about all that kind of experience later, because I'm going to get some more of that around the holidays. But Small World was just as beautiful as always. You normally we'll talk about seating on the rides a little bit later, and that'll be a different form of transportation. But let me make a note so we do talk about that. So once you get to the airport, Magical Express. So there's some changes to Magical Express. Normally, if you're staying at a resort hotel, woohoo, you've dropped your bags off at the airport, you get on the plane, you walk off the plane and go directly to the Magical Express board, and then your luggage magically appears. because of COVID and because they don't want to have as many people touching stuff, and they don't want to, you want to simplify your hands on everything. Yeah, Small World is amazing. And yeah, Isla, we had, I was just about talking about you there. She did not sleep. Oh dear. So that was lovely, True. So, so now what you have to do is you have to get off your plane, take your little monorail there. So I guess I did ride a monorail. Go to the normal baggage claim for your airport. So Southwest is Terminal A. So I got off the plane, went downstairs to the second floor for Terminal A, got my bags, came back up, walked across, went back down to Terminal B to the bottom floor, and then walked all the way to the end for the Magical Express. Now, one of the things that happened to me is that I got a text the morning of my flight that said, oh, by the way, your flight's been changed. We now rebooked you on a 4:30 plane. And I went, oh, hell no. And I got on the computer and changed it. And instead of leaving at 12, I suddenly was leaving at 10:30. Well, luckily I had been out with my suitcase on the road already with my friend who was going to be watching the cats. And thank God I said, come with me. So that I said, are you okay if we change plans? He's like, that's fine. Finished the errand I was just coming out from, we drove directly to the airport, checked my bag because it was there. And I got there with an hour to spare before my new flight took off. But that meant I got in earlier. So be ready for flight changes, and be aware that if they book you on a flight, you should have the ability to change it on your own to something else, especially if you can go earlier or better. I do not play any Disney games. I've seen Epic Mickey. I never got it. I never played it. I've never been one to do a lot of the video games, sadly. But I think they're still adding stuff to that. I think they are still adding to that. All right. So Magical Express. So got your bags, walked across, went down to the Magical Express. I was now arriving early. So one of the calls I was making as I was getting to the airport was, hey, I know you have me on a Magical Express landing at this time. I'm now landing at this time. Is that a problem? They went, as long as you're landing within the same day of what your original scheduled date was, we're fine. So I didn't have to change anything. I just had to show up. When you get there, they tag your Magic Band. And I recommend wear your Magic Band on your plane. It's a nice thing to go, oh, look, I'm on vacation. I've got a Magic Band. But Magic Band was part of that. Tag in. Get into line. They tell you in advance it could be up to 45 minutes before you're on a bus leaving. Within 10 minutes, I was in line. Now, I will tell you, while they give the big markers for people to stand, because you've got big families and they've got all their luggage with them now, people got a little jumbled. So I was a little concerned and felt like people a little close to me. So you're not necessarily standing on the exact line of your stuff, but you're leaving at least 6 minutes, 6 feet. But I got on probably in about 10, 15 minutes, got on the bus. And one of the things that they're doing now is you get in and then the bus driver says, you're going to sit in these rows. And then they cut to the next person. You're going to sit in these rows. And they tell you where you're sitting. You can't just pick a seat now. So they board the bus from the very back row and then go kind of back and forth across the bus to seat everybody. What do we got here? 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I did not see it being drained. That would be very disturbing. I rode 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea when I was a kid, and I missed that. I definitely missed that. But I also was claustrophobic and terrified of it when I was 7 years old in it, because it was scary as a 7-year-old. Was there a price change with the change of flight? No, because they moved me. I said, no, I want to be on this one. They didn't charge me. They just moved me to the new flight. Now, it meant I went from being in an A group to a late part of the B group, but to be completely frank, with empty seats, that meant I was still going to get a window seat no matter where I went. Also, because I was still checking. I don't know if it was because I was checking with Disney. Like, Disney gave me tags, but I don't know that they knew that. My bag was one of the first ones to come off the plane. Oh, no, because I got there so late. It was one of the first bags to come off the plane. But the reality is that it could have been far worse. Because I've often stood there waiting for my luggage for a half an hour. I got the luggage maybe 5-10 minutes. So my timing was great for that. Yeah, the serpent was definitely creepy. Bleh. It was an octopus, I thought, but yeah, bleh. Okay, so you get on the Magical Express, they staggered you. They were limiting how many places you stopped. So instead of going to multiple places, ours went to both Pop Century and Animal Kingdom. And since I was at Pop Century, that we were the first stop because it's closer than the other. But the bus was not packed. Like I said, you had every other session. Like, so if 4 people were there, they'd take 2 rows together, but then it would be a row and a space before the next person sat. So you were not close to anybody. Bus driver was not necessarily very talkative, but was efficient, fine, no problems. I will tell you that when we got there, as everyone's deplaning, debusing, all the bellhop staff and whatever staff I guess that they have that handles the people initially were all standing outside and applauding every single person that got off that bus. I burst into tears. I just did. I burst into tears. I didn't think I was going to. I didn't expect it, but it was such an emotional relief to do something that was not being stuck in a house or the same old stress that we've all been dealing with. It really was mentally rejuvenating, really, truly. And travel is not for everybody, but yeah, it was a big thing. Orsham, you are a newcomer here. Welcome. Oh, thank you. Where might you be joining? Oh, so I guess Mario, where is Mario from? Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm good for grown-up Disney. Woohoo. Okay, so more stuff that we were talking about. So that's Magical Express. Now, one of the other things, of course, is they still have staff there and bellhop staff, and most people were not touching, we're just taking their own bags. And I said, you know what? Save my back, save myself the energy, give them something as well, because I'm sure they're not doing a whole lot. So I got staff to help me take my bags to my room because my room became ready right when I got there. And that was lovely. And I was totally able to unpack and sort, as you guys may have seen from the video I posted on Wednesday, before I actually headed to the park. So the next mode of transportation I took was the Skyliner. Now, previously when I rode the Skyliner, especially at Christmas time when it's very busy, what they would do is put up to, I had four individual groups in one Skyliner cab at one point because it was 2 single people and 2 doubles. So they'll sit up to 8 or 10 people in that vehicle. Well, now, because of COVID, they only send 1 party in a vehicle at a time. So I was my own party. It was just me in the vehicle. And I will say it makes it so incredibly peaceful taking that ride because there's not a lot of noise in it. You just get the lightness of the wind coming through you. There's no music playing other than the constant woman saying, "You're coming up over Caribbean Beach. Look at the la la da da da," and you deal with that and it's all lovely. Hello, Legend Killer. Hopefully, well, I'm not a legend, so I think I'm safe. So we're talking traveling Disney during COVID. So now, the Skyliner, there was hand sanitizer before you got on. There was hand sanitizer when you got off. There were lines marking it. Now, when I went on there, it was 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I just walked on, no problem. In the morning, as I watched people lining up to take it before, because they were all going to be rushing to get to Hollywood Studios, the line went from, and I don't know how familiar you guys are with Pop Century, but it basically went from the Skyliner every 6 feet with the markings, with people separated. It was almost out to the parking lot, and the parking lots are on the far side. So it went all the way down. Maybe not quite that bad, but it was long. Now it moves quickly because it's almost like an omnimover. So person gets on, person gets on, person gets on. And if someone does have a disability, they're usually put on the outside and then slid in. I don't know. I didn't do that with the people I had, so I don't know how much that would happen. But it seemed to move relatively quickly for them. In fact, I ran into someone that I saw standing in line that morning and asked her how long it took. And she said it did not take long at all. It was, she said it took about half an hour, which given the size of the line, I was amazed it was that short. So that was quite nice. Yeah. The Skyliner it really just felt like this very zen place, like, which that'll be next week's video. Hopefully you'll get to see that. And then transferring, again, hand sanitizer when you get off, just walk across the way or whatever to the next one. How are we doing on time here? Oops, light just got bright. We're at about 7th. We're about halfway there-ish now. Just so you guys know, if you have not been part of this channel before, please remember to subscribe to the channel if you have not. If following either Disney or Renaissance Festival content is your jam, please go ahead and like the video, hit the thumbs up, which you should find down here. You can also subscribe by hitting the bell icon so that you can see my videos or the live chats as they're coming out, and you'll get notified. And share this video if you think that it's something that will be of interest to you and your friends. Okay, so we didn't do the monorail, so I can't talk about that through experience. The only thing that I've been told, and I can only say it's what I've been told, is that for the for the monorail, they put like fabric screens between the different cabins. There are 2 cabins in one unit, and they put like a fabric kind of screen between them. But they have been, on occasion, when it got busy, sitting one family on one wall and the other family on the other wall. I don't feel great about that. Some people actually take the ferry because of that. Again, because it's an enclosed space. But and I don't know if they're still doing that right now. I can't speak to it, but that's the experience that I had heard about. The original Skyliner. Yeah, well, the Skyliner. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think we showed that on the video from our March trip. There are videos that Drew and I took back in March, the day before the park closed, and you can take a look back at some of those on the Disney playlist that I've got there. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how in the parks they're handling spacing and stuff. So theater shows. They're not doing any of the live shows yet, although they are about to open Frozen Ever After. They did have the orchestra that used to play outside of Misner's, which is now Enchanted Rose, at the Grand Floridian, was playing over in Hollywood Studios. And through the very recent cuts, got the notice that their last day was today. They got the notice a few weeks ago and posted about it. Kind of heartbroken because they really were doing some great music. And I think they've been letting go a lot of the people who've been there a significant amount of time, which makes me really sad. Yes, I've hugged Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, Mario. Out in California, at California Adventure, they actually had someone, they had a Oswald walking around. So I actually have pictures of me hugging Oswald. He's very cool. Yeah, I like Oswald. I like him a lot. Okay, so standing, when you go into the theaters, you are given, instead of long lines, you're given dots to stand on, instead of crowding into the space. And then even if you're going into the next show, they've got social distance markers, so you may end up outside a little bit more than you were used to. Then as they start letting you in, there are only, I did DAS for some of the theaters, so I was in the back row, which is where they are, but they will space you out. And especially for DAS, if you've got a DAS disability, if you've got more than one person in that group, each group is told which opening to sit at because they're limiting the number of groups there. For the rest of the theater, though, it's every other row of seats. So you're not in every row. It's every other row. And then you can only have 4 people sit together maximum. So if your group is 5 people, you have to decide who's the 2 and who's the 3, or what one person is going to sit by themselves, because you cannot sit more than 4 together. And I believe the reason they're doing that is so they know these are the seats that have to be sanitized and cleaned. It's not the entire theater. But that, and it's also done so that you're always keeping that 6 feet of distance apart, no matter where you are sitting in the theater. So, you've got this group sitting here, and then 2 rows back sitting over here is the next group. So you're always getting that space. It limits the amount of people that can sit in a space, but it's really exceptional the way they've managed to do that. In the lines themselves, things like Avatar's Flights of Passage, instead of putting everyone in one room to watch a video and then the next room to watch the next video, they split them. So they split the group, and then you watch both videos from wherever you're standing. So you're not matching your room. Inside the rides themselves, you've got things like in Soarin', every few seats, they've got plexiglass up. So you technically could be sitting next to someone, but the plexiglass is actually on a seat and then is attached in. So you've got at least that one seat between you and the next group, which you more normally wouldn't have had. And you've got that block. You cannot make any seat requests at this point, which is hard for me in Soarin' because I tend to need to sit in the middle for nausea and motion sickness. I couldn't even ask. So they set us on the very, very end of the right side. And you will get to see video of like everything looking. the Eiffel Tower looks like it's having a bad day, like it got insulted or something. It's not a family-friendly vlog, just putting that out there. And more so this time than other times. What do we got here? Mariachi Cobre. They did, so Mariachi Cobre doesn't perform in the streets now. They and the Jaminators are actually over in the Theater of the Americas, the big pavilion, and they're on the stage performing, where like the Candlelight Processional and stuff would be. They're not doing the Candlelight Processional this year, but they're having any performer group like that do scheduled shows on a stage. So again, they can keep distanced, but you still see them. So they are definitely performing. If you would like to donate, CJR, if you go into the description of this video or this live chat, you'll see both Ko-fi and PayPal down at the bottom. And you will see links to those pages if you want to help support the channel. I will be going back and I've been buying some new camera equipment, so the support would be very appreciated. You do not have to, just enjoy as much as you want. You know, this is, I lost the rent fare, so I lost a bunch of my income, but it is not a requirement. Also, yeah. So you're very welcome. And thank you, Drew, for dropping those in there. So yeah, just look where Drew left you the info there. I got to remember it's over here, isn't it? This is where you guys see the chat right now, correct? That's that's because I'm backwards on my screen. So I pointed to the wrong spots. The bell notification's over there. All right, let's get back to Disney. So yeah, so lines in the parks. Going into stores is a lot more difficult. If you are standing in lines, and you will be standing in lines, things like Memento Mori, that's a tiny shop. There will be someone standing at the door with a little thing that adds every time they put someone in. And there'll be someone standing at the exit, knocking numbers off every time someone exits, and those are tied together. There was never more than 15 people inside Memento Mori because it's a tiny little square store by Haunted Mansion. So that was our longest wait. And because I needed to get stuff there. I had some friends I was picking some stuff up from, but you definitely are waiting in line for those. You absolutely are. And that's, you know, it makes sense because otherwise the place would be overrun. But yeah, everywhere you want, just about everywhere you're going in. The bathrooms, they're plentiful, so I didn't have any problems there. But the lines, and food ordering is another big change. If you don't want to use your phone to order, you need to make sit-down reservations in advance at restaurants, because mobile ordering, where you put the order through your phone through the My Disney Experience app, it's the only way you can order unless you have an allergy like me. So I would be able to go in and talk to a chef and they would take my order there and I could charge it to my room. Everybody else that I was with had to get on their phone and put their order in on their phone. Well, one of the people I was with does not have apps on their phone, will not put apps on their phone. So we had to order things for him or split things up, or, you know, so it was a little more of a difficult experience. Yeah, it was a little more challenging. So just be aware that that is something that you're going to come up against. If you're okay with apps on your phone and no problem, and you make sure you've got a payment method in there, whether it's charging back to the room or the card you have on file or whatever, do make sure your My Disney Experience app is up. Make sure you have either an external charging case, like this is a battery pack that gives me an extra full charge, and it makes the phone heavier, but now I have a full additional charge on the phone. I also still had the external charge, you know, like you would, the little plug-in and battery block, and at least one of us would have a battery block walking around with that, because you will be on your phone a lot more than you normally would think. I did not test this theory out, but I was told that wait times are often shorter than what is posted. And that's sort of Disney's way. They usually try to over guesstimate rather than under guesstimate. But yeah, we didn't do a whole lot of standing in line for me to know whether or not that was truly the case. Again, because I was with someone with a DAS pass, what we would normally end up doing is going up to the group saying, hi, we need to do a DAS, and then they would just tell us when to come back. Didn't do tomorrow. Okay, standing in theaters. And if you guys have questions about anything, if I'm going too quickly over something or I'm missing a section, let me know. So Small World, since Mario was asking about Small World, for the boat rides, Pirates, Small World, for rides like that, they would set you in the very front row, and then the second to last or the back row. So you've got as much distance between your group and the other group. Now, you might be in the front 2 rows and the back 2 rows, but they would separate you. Things like Navi River Journey, if you've got a party of 4, your party could be sat together, but it was 1 party per vehicle. You could have 2 in that attached thing, but it was 1 party per vehicle. Rise of the Resistance, that vehicle that seats 8 people takes 1 party. So if there's a party of 1, that 1 person, that's their vehicle, which really changes the way you're running through those lines there. We had a party of 4 for our group, so it was a slightly more normal vehicle, and they spaced out and we spaced out, so we all kind of got good views of stuff. And I was the only one who had ridden Rise of the Resistance before, so it was very exciting. Speaking of Rise of the Resistance, because everything is so limited, oh dear God, okay, so for those of you who may have been there before, they do 2 releases of virtual passes at 10 o'clock and at 2 o'clock. And they do that so that not everyone shows up at 10, but everyone shows up at 10 because there's so few that the chance of getting one at 2, especially if the ride doesn't run, is very, very difficult. Okay, so Wi-Fi. Thank you for that is where the chat is. Appreciated. Wi-Fi is, even Disney staff tells you, get off Disney Wi-Fi to do the Rise of the Resistance. So we did. We had 2 phones going. So this is how we did it. I had my Disney Experience app. Now, I made sure I was connected to everybody. One of the special things that they are now doing is if you have friends and family, if you have all tagged into the park, then all of your friends and family will be automatically listed in your boarding group. If people here have never seen this, what happens is you have to join a boarding group. So at exactly 10 o'clock, you're in your app and you hit join a boarding group. The people in the park, part of your friends and family, will be added to your group, and then you will go and join the group and hopefully get in. So things that I learned: 1, get off Disney Wi-Fi. 2, hit the thing where it brings up the option to join a boarding group. It'll be grayed out because it's not open yet, and get in early. Then get someone else on a phone that says, what is the exact time? There's websites that tell you like in the seconds, what's the exact time. And at about 8 seconds, maybe I did it at 8, but it probably at about 2 seconds of, 2 parts of seconds of, you refresh the page. So at about a minute, I just started refreshing. And about 8 seconds, I refreshed, and then I had to do it 1 more time. And refreshing meaning you just go flonk, flonk, and you bring it down and it comes back up. And exactly when I refreshed it, join a boarding group, hit it, all your people show up in the group, hit join, and you pray. 10 o'clock, the groups were released. At 10:02, they announced that all the boarding groups were gone. They were probably gone a few seconds before the announcement got made. But being off Wi-Fi, having the exact time, knowing that I got us in, I got our group of 4 in. But all around the park, and this has happened, if any of you have been in the park at 10 o'clock, you experience this. All around the park, you see everyone like this. And then 10 o'clock, yay, woohoo, no, yay. You hear these pockets of people cheering or screaming or crying or whatever. The other thing that the woman who was helping us said, which I thought was really smart, is go and, pull down the group. Whoever is already showing up as part of your group, like if 3 of your party are there, but that 4th person doesn't show up on the My Friends and Family are in the park right now, ignore it. Just join the group. Once you've joined the group and you get a group, then you can go to guest services and say, hi, here's our group of 4. Only 3 of us made it in. Can you tie this person in for us? And then they can help you add 1 person to your group rather than you to find the person and add the person. We didn't have that problem, but it's a great thing to learn. OTC time server. Yeah, exactly. So that was our experience. Now, I've been successful with my Wi-Fi, but when the staff tells you get off Wi-Fi to do this, don't do it. And it's basically because at that 10 o'clock second, everybody in the parks who is on the Disney Wi-Fi, who can't be off of it for any reason, you're all trying to get the same thing. It's going to slow you down. It's going to bog their system down that exact moment. So get off Wi-Fi, go in, hopefully get one. And there were people who were doing the same things and were doing the right stuff and still didn't get a boarding pass. So I walked one of them through because she was going to try it again at 2. and went through all the steps with her and recommended the website to go look at the time and stuff. So hopefully she got in. Okay, so how are we doing on time? Okay, 20 minutes. Good. All right. So other things. So eating at restaurants. So I always make sit down restaurant reservations because I don't necessarily want to do the mobile ordering. I have allergies. I want to talk to the chef and deal with food. And they'll talk to you at the quick serve, but it's always better. So you're very welcome, Gordon. I'm not even sure what you thanked me for, but cool. Okay. What do we got here? Oh, okay. Oh God, did I delete? I hope I didn't delete Worsham. I didn't mean to. Sorry, guys, hold on. I don't know what I did. I am so sorry if I did something like that. Forgive me, forgive me. Yeah, I did not mean to delete that. Oh, darn. How can I undelete? Undelete. Oh, dagnabbit. Now I'm a schmoohead. All right, I hit a wrong button. I apologize to Mario if he sees this. That was not my intention, and hopefully you can join us in another chat. I'm still getting new with these live chats, so apologies. Okay, so sitting at restaurants. When you get to the restaurant, you will, again, you need your phone because what it's going to say is, you're going to get handed a piece of paper with a QR code. In a few restaurants, they will hand you a piece of paper, but just about everywhere will have the QR code. You open up your photos, you take a photograph, or you bring your photo, like on your phone, you just put the photo over it, and then it will tell you, would you like us to open this web page for you? You say yes, and it opens up the web page. If you are familiar with how to see the Disney menus on the Disney website, it's the same thing. You're not going to see anything at home differently than when you're in the parks. It's the same menu. Now, on a few occasions, like at Nomad's Lounge, they also had a few specials that were on a little flipboard at the table. But most places, you're going to have it on your phone. We were lucky when we went to Haleo that they were having a special magical season, like a prefix menu. And instead of having to get full plates and doing a lot of sharing, it was a mini 4-course meal for $35 at Haleo, Jose Andres' restaurant. Oh my goodness. Such good food. And the sangria, Drew, the sangria. Oh my goodness. So good. So good. And since I knew what I was drinking, it made it even better. Drew and I took a sangria class at the very last day of the parks being open. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, so you got an option of like 3 choices under each piece, and then you could do it. Again, my cohort didn't have apps and access, and it wasn't opening things, so I had to keep giving him my phone because as a allergy person, they often had to give me a specialty menu. They didn't at Haleo, but a lot of other places they did. So I do have a few allergy menus I brought back with me that I'll be talking about in future conversations, etc. Yeah, the sangria was just so good. And a half carafe, which was like 4 glasses maybe for each of my cohort and I, was like $24. It was so worth it. It was so worth it. Okay, so you get the QR code, and that's what you use to order from the menu. It's not necessarily the most ideal. I like the paper. For me, it didn't make a difference. And you often can request it, but you're not going to get a traditional menu. You're going to get the piece of paper, and that piece of paper gets thrown out when you're done with it. So if you want to keep the menu, woohoo, you got a souvenir. The menus are more limited. If you're used to a place having a whole bunch of stuff, not all of it's there. For example, the Wave is famous for bacon and eggs. And I think, Drew, you were there when I got it the first time. Not that I think you would remember much of that dinner, but that's a whole different. He got sick. He was a sad, unhappy Drew that day. But it's not on their menu. When you look online, it's not on the menu. But the first thing out of the waitress's mouth when she came up says, "So, have you heard about our bacon and eggs? Because it's not on the menu." And I was like, I already knew, because Diz Unplug had mentioned that before. But even though it's not on the menu, they're offering it. It's a perfectly poached egg, although mine was actually overcooked. It was not runny. I was very sad. A piece of pork belly that was beautifully cooked and lacquered over cheesy grits. almost at the edge of being too much in salt and stuff. And this is one thing. All right. So I came to a realization. I have noticed that every time I go and eat at restaurants at Disney, and not all of them, but most of them, to me, oversalt their food. Everything, I never need to add salt. And usually I'm like, wow, that's lots of salt. I realized it's because you're in a climate where you're drinking a lot of water and you're sweating a lot. You need the salts back in your body. And my guess is that they don't notice that flavor as much, that it doesn't stick out. And if you think I'm wrong or you disagree with me, just let me know. But I do believe that is part of why. Like, I remember going to Be Our Guest and just being miserably horrified at how salty the green beans were. I sent them back. They were so salty. They were inedible. And then I got a fresh set of green beans and they were just as salty. So there you go. Okay, so as we're getting to this point, because now we can start to go into details, what things do you guys want to know about? What part of the parks that I haven't touched on yet do you want to hear about, or do you need to find out about? Let me know. Throw me some comments while I drink a little bit of water real fast. And if you haven't done so already, please remember to hit the thumbs up. That actually gets more people to see the video and bring more people in. What do we got? So I'm trying to think what other things I can talk about. We closed out most of the restaurants we got to. We stayed at most of the parks till about closing, which is 7 o'clock or 5 o'clock. Here's another experience, Character Warehouse. When I say Character Warehouse, do you guys know what I'm talking about? I don't know. Character Warehouse is the discount shopping retail store that is not on Disney property. It's actually, there's one right by one of my timeshares at the Prime Outlet malls, and that's the bigger one. And then there's another one at another outlet mall closer to Universal. And it's everything that's off season, everything that they had that didn't sell out, anything they've got random left of, they will get. Like the trash can shirt I sent you a picture of, Drew, that was at the outlet. And you will be able to get things much less expensive because they're just, it's end of season, they're coming up with something new. So I've gotten Mickey ears or mini ears, the flowered ones you may have seen me wear in the March series. I got those there. Normally mini ears are anywhere between $28 and $32. They were $8. I could afford $8. I found, I'm going to disappear for a second. Look at the beautiful background. La, 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 la. Other than some presents and things that I got was this the one I got there? Oh, no, this one I just bought. This is my big splurge for this trip. Every once in a while I splurge on something. I don't know if you can read that. It's the bride from the Haunted Mansion, and it says, "May I cut in?" So this is going to be my, I got to wash it, but that's my new sleeping night shirty, t-shirty thing when it's warm out, because it was so hot there and it was so cold when I got back comparatively. I mean, I was dressed and warm enough because I always dress warm on the planes. Oh, and that's the other thing. Planes are freezing. Airports, planes, freezing. I go to the airport with shoes and socks on and a jacket, my scarf on top of stuff. And then I'll get to Disney. And when I finally get to the hotel, take off the shoes and socks, put on sandals, take off the over jacket and the extra layers. And then I go to the parks because, wow, it's just so warm. What do we got? Which parks did you not get to this trip? One property per day feels like a significant limitation. It is a significant limitation, and it pissed me off. We actually got to Epcot twice, 2 half days at Epcot, and then the full days. Oh, here's the big thing. Okay, you just made me think of it. Capacity is starting to go up. When they first opened the parks, I think capacity was at 20% or 25. And the parks were empty. I mean, the videos I saw from all the other vloggers, oh my God, they were empty. It was amazing. What a great, it's time to go. You're going to walk on all the rides, blah, blah, blah. And that's about the time that myself and a number of other people made their plans. From what I am hearing, they are just under or at 50% capacity at this moment. It makes a difference. It makes a huge difference. Magic Kingdom on the weekend was really crowded. And it's not because there's so many people there, but when you've social distanced 6 feet between all the people, yeah, the lines go way out and they snake all over the place because they can't move. or they can't get in as far, and you don't want to be having people, up against you. So there were lines filling the streets because they're pouring out. I mean, even the Hall of Presidents had a line going down the road because you can't all be standing inside. So it felt more crowded. And when you're walking around the streets outside there, it was crowded. You felt people coming up against you. So be aware if you do truly feel that the parks are not necessarily, that you don't want to be close to people. This may not be the time to go, because the only thing they're going to do is, unless numbers go crazy, they're going to keep upping the capacity, and you felt it. I felt it a little bit more like there were sections of Hollywood Studios that were crowded, especially Galaxy's Edge, but Magic Kingdom on that weekend, and even some portions of Epcot. When you walked through cluster areas, more crowded areas, you absolutely felt the crowds. You absolutely felt the crowds coming in. So do be aware of that. It makes a difference. I did get to all the parks though. But yeah, there was a point in time when I was like, if we could have, I would have wanted to start in one park and go to another one. Yeah, and you can't. The other thing is resorts themselves. The pools are very good for socially distanced. From what I can understand, they're not like, they do a lazy river at Stormalong Bay, because we stayed at the yacht club for one night, and that meant we got to go to Stormalong Bay, and we did a morning where we kind of hit the pool. Stormalong Bay, they have these like floaties, so you can float from one to the other, and only a certain number of them are out in the river at a time. But when one person gets out and you can go in, you can just take it. And I was like, do I need to wait for them to clean it or do anything? They said, no, just flip it in the chlorine and flip it back and you'll be fine. So I don't know if that's a legitimately safe way. I can't imagine that Disney was doing anything that would be risky given everything else. But yeah, so that was very interesting. They also had social distance markers when you're checking in at the hotel or going to the front desk. The restaurants would hit capacity. They did do some options for walk up where you could, instead of just looking for making a reservation eventually, you could look at what's available now. There was not a lot there, but if you're near a place that happens to have availability now, you can get into a wait list. Getting into the market, you had to stand outside. Like one cohort went downstairs. I said, get in line and I'll be down in a few minutes, but pull the things you need. He was down in line. I went in to see if he was there. He was still just about to walk in. So I came down 5 minutes later and we went in together. So it definitely makes a difference. It definitely will slow you down, and you do need to account for that time. The other thing I will warn you is if you are not used to that heat, especially if you're not used to that heat and you're not used to wearing a mask for long periods of time and not used to walking around in that, practice before you go. Wear your mask and do a workout, or wear your mask and do something, because the heat and all of that, it did get a little bit oppressive. And it's just because I wasn't used to it. My cardio was out of shape, so I felt it. But it is not. Hello from Turkey. Nice to meet you, Mert. It does make a difference. It absolutely does make a difference. The last trip, I think I had done a little bit of walking in mask ahead of time, just to get used to that sensation. You automatically have this weird sensation like, oh, I just finished that ride. Now I can take the mask off. No, you can't. Oh, I just walked out of that restaurant. Now I can take my mask. No, you can't. You cannot take the mask off until you get into your room. The yacht club is beautiful. The pool was lovely. I'm not a huge hangout at the pool all day person. So the half an hour that I spent trying the lazy river, which was extremely lazy. It was like, it's just this one kind of longish circle, and it was barely moving. Like, I think I saw sort of a jet moving somewhere. I was like, this is like float. This is not a river. This is a float. So I don't know if that was something that they turned down in terms of speed, but who knows? Other things, the restaurants, the pool, sitting on the balcony was lovely at night. Oh, well, you'll see it in the videos too, but so originally I'd requested a higher room. And then when I let them know that I had a service dog with us, they actually moved us to a lower floor because that's normally what they do for the service dogs. And then I called them back when I saw that our room had been chosen. I was like, is there, I had asked for a high floor. I just wanted to know if there was a reason that I was given the low one. And they went, oh, well, yeah, and then they explained to me why, and they said, but I see that you did request a high floor and this is your birthday. So let me see what I can do. And they put me on hold and they called me back and they got back on. Actually, I don't remember if they called me back or they got back on, but they basically said, so good news. We've been able to switch you and we've gotten you on the 5th floor because it's a pet friendly floor. And you now have a water view. We've upgraded you because that's what we had available. So we got a view from our deck of Stormalong Bay and then the lagoon thing. So nice. So nice. That was kind of tremendous. And I thanked them profusely because they did not have to do that. And it also, ironically, if there had been club level, concierge level available, because they're not doing any concierge club stuff, like you can go to that level, but you don't get the room with the food all day long and all that stuff that concierge level would have been. We were on that floor just down the way from where that room would have been. But yeah, we would have been on concierge level. That would have been so cool. Yeah, it was fabulous Disney magic. It made me very, very happy. So if you guys, we're getting down to the end of this. As a reminder, if you have not done so already, please hit the thumbs up over there. If you are not already subscribed, please do so. We're trying to reach 1,000. I'd love to reach 1,000 by the end of the year. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm with you guys. I'll hope. But hit the thumbs up, hit the bell notification, share this video if there's been information that's been useful for you. If you're planning on going or you know someone planning on going, please go ahead and share this with them so that they can get a better understanding of what's going on. If you have additional questions after the chat is done, you can stick them down below and I will try to respond to those. I'm usually pretty good at responding, so hopefully you can do that. If you would like to support the channel, please go to the Ko-fi or Ko-fi, I don't know how it's pronounced, or PayPal links, and they'll be down below. Or in the chat. Drew threw them in the chat, and I appreciate him for that. If you've got other questions, other thoughts, other things you'd like to know about, if there are other topics about this trip, details that you want to know about that I haven't discussed yet, like the gluten-free dining or the DAS pass, or what those experiences are like, or just what traveling is like in general, or the parks, etc., what specific rides were like Small World, etc., let me know. I would be very happy to share that information. It's I love this stuff. I am not a travel agent. I do not get paid for this at all. It is a passion that I have discovered of loving the planning, loving the travel, loving to explain and help find the perfect experience for anyone doing this, because you're putting out a lot of money when you go to Disney and you want that experience to be amazing. So we are in the last couple minutes, so I will give you guys like a minute or so to ask any last minute questions. I'm in the middle of editing the rest of the first day, and at this point it's like an hour and a half. I'm trying to pare it down, guys. I promise I am. There's footage of Soarin' in there with the bendy stuff. There's all kinds of good stuff. Are the meet and greets able to exist in any semblance? Oh, thank you. All right, so yes and no. So each park is handled differently. Animal Kingdom, you don't get close to any of the characters. Like there's no walking around characters, but they have floats, and you'll hear very loud music start, and then you look to the water, and there will be Pocahontas and Miko, or Donald and Daisy and the airline captain going by, or Mickey and Minnie and Pluto do one. There's one that's just a band of drummers that's really cool. There's Timoon and Rafiki in one. Is that all of them? I think that's all of them there. But they'll go by, and because there are fewer people, and because they're trying not to do a long line of a bunch of people, because they don't want to get the crowds. So random music, someone's coming, you go to the water. Nomad's Lounge, that's where all the boats come out. So we saw a bunch of them, but we were sitting in the shade, so we'd have to grab our mask and run to the water. I didn't get very good footage because I kept having my mask off because gluten-free churros. That's all I need to say. So that was there. Epcot, they supposedly had parades the 2 days I was there. I didn't see one, but that could have just been my timing. But they do individual vehicles, like Anna and Elsa do one. Mickey and Minnie do one. There are a couple other things like that. Older than you'd think, but younger than I feel, unless it's the end of a Disney day. But I'm over half a century. How's that? And thank you, Drew. That was fabulous. So, Magic Kingdom. Oh no, Hollywood Studios. They do have cars driving through that do little mini individual cavalcades, they call them. So I saw Fancy Nancy and Vampirina go by. I want the car Vampirina was in. These are, of course, were the characters I know the least, that I had the least connection to, but that's the one parade I saw there, mini parade. Magic Kingdom, they have, again, individual float cavalcades. They have, and for Halloween, they had some specialty ones. They also have people standing as you walk in, and you've got the railroad tracks where the railroad's not running. They will stand up there and you can wave and take pictures. So I think I saw princesses when I walked in the morning. The parade, the cavalcade going by that I saw 3 times was Jack Skellington, Sally, and Oogie Boogie playing the You and You and You, the Merry Christmas Halloween song that he has. And it was very cool. The other big thing, all right, so they can't do their evening parties. I know I was going to be done. They can't do their evening parties. They can't do Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party. They're not going to be doing the Christmas party. So they adjust the cavalcades, which is why you saw Jack and Sally. Well, the other thing that they do, and this will only be good through October 31st. So depending on when you're watching this, may or may not be applicable to you. But up through October 31st, which is Halloween, because they would normally have parties in the evening where adults can wear a costume, because normally you can't wear a costume. You can Disney bound, which is not really a costume, but they don't let you in costume. They were letting adults in costume. So my little fairy made a trip to Magic Kingdom. So you may have already seen the pictures if you follow me on the Teatro de Pecorino Romano page. Or on Instagram at PTP Grad. You can follow me on either of those as well. But you will see, so Mustard Seed made her way to, and I got so many compliments on the costume, which is great. So Anne, if Ms. Reeves, if you are watching this, sorry, Elaine, my God, why am I not? Ms. Marie, if you are watching this, yes, your costume got huge raves. It was fabulousness. Yes, she did. And I didn't bring the wings because they were expecting rain. You know, every day was expecting rain, and you always know it's going to rain at 3:00, and it's always going to rain, and you bring your umbrella and you pack your poncho, and not even a drop. Not one drop of rain the entire time I was there. I got on the plane, and that night it rained. Someone wanted me to have perfect weather. But so those are all the cavalcades. So in full Mustard Seed, as the cavalcades are walking by, Sally kind of waved. You could see by the way they reacted, they liked the costume. Oogie Boogie, I couldn't tell, but Jack actually spoke to me like two of the times. Yeah, and I bowed to him and he bowed back to me. It was very nice. So those were fun. But so because it's not tons and tons of crowd, Jack is talking, Sally isn't, but they're actively interacting with you as they're walking by. As they're floating by or driving by. There's a villains one that has Gaston and the Evil Queen and Maleficent and the guy from Pocahontas, I think, and another and Jafar, and those characters will change out a little bit, but those cavalcades they're and they come up at random times, but they're miniature versions of Halloween parades. So that again, and because people now know about them, so they're starting to crowd. They actually started putting social distancing markers on Main Street and the parade route. So if you stand on a marker, people should be standing at the other markers a little distance away, and then you can watch from there and you can get decent views. One of my favorite things to do on this trip, now that I've been actively vlogging as much as I have, is to see how many vlogging people are there at the parks. Sometimes they're just recording for themselves, but there are other people that are, here, there's a GoPro on my wrist kind of thing, actively vlogging. So I took a lot of video of all the other vloggers. Oh, look, I'm not alone. Oh, look, here's another one. It made me very happy. We are now over an hour long. I know. Yeah, guys, this is it. Ask your questions because I do have another obligation this evening. I'll give like a minute. And I'll drink more water. And if you get this after the fact and you do have questions, just throw them in the comments down below if you're watching this, and I will absolutely respond to you as best I can, or I'll schedule a different or a new chat that will address those for you as well. So 30 seconds. Da, 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 da. I'm gonna drink some. That sounded wrong. All right. So at this point, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're good for the night. If I don't see a question come up while I'm saying goodbye, thank you so much for coming out and joining, or staying in and joining me. Oh, what's this? Oh, thank you so much. My pleasure. I'm glad I could share this stuff with you. If you guys have had a great time and enjoy this again, remember, like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And I will be probably doing another live chat next week. Let me know in the comments if you want it to be another Disney themed one, or if you would like it to be a Renfest one, either in the side comments over here or down below after the fact. And we will adjust to the needs of our people, because the festival would be running another couple weekends. So we're doing good. Ta-ta, Terry. Thank you so much. I hope you guys have had a great night. I hope you've learned a whole lot of stuff. And I don't have a tagline.